Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Keep Productive YouTube channel. It is Francesco here. Today, I'm joined by Tiago Forte, the founder of Forte Labs. He consults all around the world with professionals, maybe in the creative sector. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah,
Yeah, and you help these individuals to be more productive in their daily routine, giving them frameworks and general structures to really help themselves in entrepreneurship and arrange things. Maybe you can fill in a few of the gaps there that I've missed.
yeah, of course. So Forte Labs is a consulting, but really primarily a training company. So I have online courses, three online courses that have been taken by many people around the world. I do live workshops and trainings for companies, for nonprofits, for government organizations, and I do one-on-one consulting and one-on-one coaching. So basically, every form of teaching and training that is out there, I try to at least dabble with. And it's all about training people, like you said, to be more productive, using skills and techniques and really practical systems that they can really dig their teeth into instead of just, concepts.
That's it. I was making Tiago feel really old before we start the call by saying that I actually had one of his Skillshare classes. I think it was the GTD Labs 21 days.
It was get stuff done like a boss,
That's the one.
design your workflow and double your productivity in 21 days.
But yeah, I love that one. It's still available on your website, isn't it?
It is.
It's not on Skillshare anymore, but I'll link it in the description because, as I was saying, it helped me so much with when I was in school and helped me put the frameworks in. So it was awesome. Um,
Amazing.
and now I'm reviewing productivity apps. Awesome. We're here today to chat a little bit about Evernote. Obviously, the last couple of months have been up and down for Evernote. You've been a long time user, right?
I have, yeah. It's been maybe really since I arrived in the Bay Area, which was in 2012, so a good 6 years.
Yeah, and I've been a big user of Evernote for a while, and how in the last few weeks, obviously, it's been a bit tricky to work out what is the news and what's not. And what's your sort of take on it at the moment?
Yeah, okay, good. So I've done my own investigations, talking to many other users, of course, talking to some influencers and certified Evernote consultants, and culminating a couple weeks ago with a lunch that I had with Chris O'Neill, who's the CEO of Evernote. And my takeaway from all that is that this whole quote unquote crisis is just completely made up. That there's really I mean, it's very normal. It's a very normal part of the evolution of a business, especially one that's been around for a decade, like Evernote, who pioneered the concept and the category, to have restructurings. And that includes layoffs, it includes executives getting replaced, it includes changing the direction of the business. I mean, all that stuff is super, super normal. It's just, I think there's no other notes apps that have been around long enough to reach this stage of maturity.
Yeah, definitely. And I think from like my sort of perspective from like do covering everything and other people's that I've talked to in the community, I think it's because of the way that it's been put out in the media, it's sort of one-sided to some extent because there's not really been too much from Evernote's side. Is that something that people should be aware of that, that is potentially one-sided at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because Evernote is unique in the size of its user base. I mean, it's just massive, 225 million users, and only a small percentage of those are paying customers. But still, the number of countries they operate in, the number of demographics, the number of languages, you can't really be. It's like they have to present a very unified front and be very consistent in their messaging. So it doesn't really make sense for them to be on Twitter answering people, in a 280 characters that will of course be misinterpreted and taken out of context. It doesn't make sense for them to be actually too much in communication. Really, I think what matters is the product is actually coming out with new things. That's like the best answer to any criticism, right?
That's it.
And I think we've seen a few things like templates, and some small things. But what I was really impressed by with talking to Chris is his real passion and dedication to the product. You know, he comes from Google. He was the manager of the Google X kind of experimental division at Google, which he massively grew and increased in size. And he really, you know, we got into the weeds about like, I can't say any specifics because it's all going to be in beta soon, but some really interesting like back-end infrastructural things that will never make headlines, but is going to have a huge impact on just like the day-to-day users and like reliability and stability and stuff like that. So I think that they're refocusing on the product, which is I think what's needed. And yeah, I have a lot of hope in their future direction.
Yeah, I mean, they're such a well-rounded package, and it's a shame that we're only hearing this one side of stuff. I mean, where do you see Evernote in the next, like, let's say 3 to 5 years? If you got like a good idea of where they're going?
Okay, so here's where I go into pure speculation mode.
I'll put something on the screen. Speculation mode.
Totally. So none of this is based on any kind of insider or confidential information of any kind, which I don't have any of that. But I really think, so I came across an observation, I think on some other blog, which said that, or maybe on Evernote's blog actually, which said that Evernote is the world's largest repository of unstructured data. Which is, if you think about it, makes sense, right? Like any database out there, I'm sure there's larger databases, but they're structured. Even like Google Docs, Gmail is all very highly structured. Evernote notes data is unstructured, right? You open, as we all know, you open a blank canvas that you just start writing things down and copying and pasting things. So I think that what's exciting there is, you know, up until now, unstructured data had so little value, right? Because you couldn't make sense of it. It had no meaning. It had no easy application. I think what we're going to see now, though, is with the rise of, in the next few years, the rise of machine learning. And machine learning being not just something for experimental research labs in Silicon Valley, but you're starting to see features here and there that really take advantage of a new level of intelligence that these machines have. And so what's interesting is as machine learning gets more capable and accessible, the value of unstructured data gets higher and higher and higher, right? Because you can search it, you can have like associations, like Evernote has the context feature, you know, where it gives you suggestions for notes based on the current note. All those features are going to start to get highly intelligent and much more helpful than they've been as machine learning gets more advanced. So I'm pretty excited about that. It could be more like 5 to 8 years for that to really go mainstream. But yeah. Yeah,
I quite like that idea. Like the fact that obviously with all the data protection and all that in sort of lieu, it's more that it could be crowdsource information to some extent. I think you were talking about it on Twitter the other day, weren't you? About like a task manager that did something similar.
Yeah, I'm always spinning out my imaginary tales on Twitter. Yeah, I think that there's this thing where it's like so much of our online behavior is oriented towards what is novel, what is sensationalistic, what is shallow, what is easy to understand, easy to digest, right? And we don't really question that. Oh, of course, I log in and I go onto all these social media and other sites, and then I just start reacting, right? React, these instantaneous gut checks, whether it's, you know, what your friend ate for breakfast or the political news of the day. And that fact, I think, it underlies like a lot of problems we're facing as a society. Everything from shortened attention spans to like the divisiveness in society and in politics, to people feeling, which I hear a lot of, that with their online behavior, you know, we're spending 11 hours a day consuming media, 11 hours a day on our devices, but we're not really building anything with that time, right? Like, are you actually building something of durable value over time with the 11 hours a day you spend online? I think most people, they aren't. No. So I think maybe to answer your question in the 3 to 5 years more specifically, I hope there's going to be a sea change in how people see notes apps. instead of being so oriented towards the public and the novel, that they'll instead be more oriented toward the private and the timeless.
Mm.
And that's basically the answer to the question I get so often, which is, why keep notes when I have Google? Right?
Yeah.
What's worth saving when I can just Google and find the answer? There's something of value to just keeping this storehouse of insights and ideas and knowledge that over time, it's not what Google has. It's not what everyone in the world has. It's you. It's your private, personal collection of knowledge.
That's it. You refer to it a lot as the second brain, and that's where a lot of your sort of research comes into place. How do you see Evernote fitting in that second brain? I mean, obviously you've got the course that dives into it, but how do you see that all working together?
Yeah, so I really see the value that Evernote gives me, at least, is being a default recommendation, right? And actually, I'm working now on I identified the 15 key features that a Notes app needs to have to serve as your personal knowledge management system, your second brain. And then we went and gathered, of the top, I think 6 or 7 Notes apps, which we made like a feature comparison table, like checking all the boxes. And that's almost ready. By the time this is out, that will probably be available for free on our blog. So you can check it out. But really, all those Notes apps work fine. Every Note app we evaluated, pretty much fulfilled the criteria, which makes me think it doesn't matter which Notes app you use so much, right? There's some little subtleties, but the important thing is that you're using one. Right?
Yeah.
If I have one message for your audience is, don't let, as important as it is to do your homework and do your research, and this is where you provide so much value, is you can just watch some videos instead of spending countless hours researching. Once you kind of pick one that's good enough, that's just a good default, invest in it. Don't get stopped and stuck on comparing features once you've settled on one. Because what matters more is just that you're investing in one, not so much which one you pick.
Yeah, definitely. You don't have to switch and change and sort of move. It's like moving house, isn't it? With productivity apps, you're always sort of lifting loads of stuff that's already been there. I will definitely include that article below, and I would love to read it because I would love to know how you've sort of dissected what features make a note taker. Obviously, something that can't be ignored at the moment is the modular workspace apps that are coming out. What's your opinion on apps like there's Notion and Coda that are sort of bringing in these apps that combine note taking and task management and all that? Have you got any thoughts on those?
I do. Okay, so here's my take on this. There's this, I haven't heard them called that before. You said modular, what did you call it?
Modular productivity software. I don't know whether I heard that or I decided to call them that.
Okay, I like that. So here's what I think. I think that there is a whole group of those apps that are kind of rising up right now. And I think they're going after really the Microsoft Word / Google Docs market, right? It's like Microsoft was disrupted by Google Docs, but now even Google Docs sometimes feels a little bit old, right? And there's the new disruptors. It's like this continuous cycle. And actually, this new crop of apps should go after that market. That's the way, way, way bigger market, just office productivity, collaborative productivity software. But that, to me, is not the same. It's not at all the same function that Notes apps are trying to fulfill.
Okay.
Right? So what I see when I use, say, Notion, right, so here's my fundamental belief, is that you cannot optimize for your private use at the same time as you optimize for public use and collaboration. Those are mutually incompatible, right? Either something is like your personal, think of your desk at work, right? It has your little flower pot, your little pictures, your pens, just how you like them, your notebooks, okay? That's all optimized for you. But by necessity, that means it's not optimized for anyone to just sit down and be like, whoa, what's all this random stuff, right? Yeah. So I think you have to use different tools for your private knowledge collection, your private creative process, and that tool will make very different design decisions and have different features than the one that you use for public, for Word or for word processing, for publishing, for collaboration. So to me, that's notes apps over here and modular online collaborative, office apps over here. So I just think that people should choose different tools.
I agree with you there. I think I struggle to like put that into words, but because I don't really like go a lot of the time. Evernote is a replacement for Notion because they're very different to some extent. Because Notion does work a lot more like Dropbox Paper does or Google Docs. So yes, that's really interesting. I like your take on it.
And there's something else too, real quick, which is what is a strength over here is a weakness over here, right? So like people often complain about the syncing that Evernote has, how they have to, wait for it to sync. It's very, very slow compared to say the real-time editing of Google Docs. Yeah. But that has to be that way because of a strength, which is the fact that all of your notes, thousands and thousands of notes, are stored on your local machine. So the fact that I can get on a plane and have my entire second brain here on my computer with me, right, which is an incredible benefit, that creates the situation of I need to sync the local data to the cloud, which takes longer.
I got it there. Yeah, that's quite. Yeah, we need like a second conversation about just that. That's going to be nice. I love it. Tiago, where can everyone find you after this call?
I'm everywhere. Just if you search Forte Labs, Twitter, Instagram, that's FORTE, and then the second word LABS. YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and then my hub, my main website, which links to everything else, is fortelabs.co, not .com, .co.
Oh wow, a snazzy URL. Well, it's been great having you, Tiago, and I'll make sure to include them all below. But thank you very much for coming on, and I'll catch you very soon anyway.
It was a real pleasure, Francesco. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you, Tiago. Bye.